So how did you come to be involved in this project, the Green Rising?
I had previously done another project very similar to this with UNICEF 2 years ago. So it then fell into my lap to take up the reins and to start this amazing project with these 12 really brilliant young children.
So how did you select these 12 to be part of the project? Because not all of them were photographers. In fact, many of them weren't.
So myself and Toby from UNICEF South Africa, we put out on social media asking for applicants for the project. But back to this project, we got applications and we sifted through them. And of course, we wanted someone who could shoot a photograph, who were photographers. But of course, because of their age, we weren't expecting, World Press winning photographers. We were more interested in them as human beings, what they had to offer, and also, obviously, within the context of Green Rising, what they wanted to say about the environment, what they felt about the environment. So that's how we came about the 12 students. And of course, we tried to, as best as possible, have a really wide range of students from different parts of South Africa. So we have a student from Bloemfontein, we have 3 from Durban, we have 4 from Pretoria, and then the rest are from Johannesburg. So we did try and spread the net as wide as we could, all from South Africa, of course.
In the opening of the book itself, you said that what you wanted these 12 talented youth wanted to give them the opportunity to learn about how to articulate their thoughts and feelings about climate and the environment to a broader audience, and in doing so, empowering them to grow and learn not only photography and storytelling, but skills for their futures.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you think it's done that?
Well, I mean, I may be slightly biased, but I think I can see in their eyes tonight as they walked into this room at the gallery at PhotoZA here in Johannesburg that they've grown immensely. So my first interaction with them personally was the first workshop in Durban. And this was where we got together. They had the idea of how they wanted, just the idea of what they wanted to try and tell a story about environmentally. And I know some of the students were really timid. They could almost not speak in front of others. From that point on, I started to see them grow as individuals. And as I've always said, yes, the byproduct and the final result of this is a book and a photographic exhibition. But this is about young people growing. So this is not an easy project. So the way that they then grew from, okay, this is my idea, and then, of course, my role, apart from putting the project together, certainly in the first workshop, was to say, okay, here's your idea. How do we interpret this into images? And so in the first workshop, I used some of examples of my own environmental work for EPA, but most notably, I brought in work from other leading photographers around the world. For instance, showing them Gideon Mendel's work, a South African photographer whose project is about rising water, so floods. Gideon goes to flooded areas around the world when the floods happen, and he shoots portraits of people affected by the floods, literally waist deep in water. So what I tried to do was give them the tools visually. This is how you can tell the story. I think I sleep a bit happier tonight knowing that there's 12 young South Africans who at least think about the environment. Yeah.
One of the things that you'd mentioned in your speech, which I'd love if you could expound a little bit more on, has to do with the fact that these are printed pictures. Printed pictures at a time when most of our photographs are digital. They never actually leave our phones.
Yep.
They may go onto our computers.
Yep.
They may go onto a pad. But
Yes.
these are actually printed pictures,
Yes.
printed on the wall, printed in the book.
Yeah.
Being a photographer,
Yes.
how is that making a connection?
Yeah, sure. So remember that I started my career 30 years ago, which was analog, right? So we're of a certain age where everything was analog. I mean, I shot on film. I had a handheld light meter. You had to print your photograph. The byproduct, the end product, I should say, of photography 30 years ago was the photographic print. As you've stated in your question, everything now is zeros and ones. Can you imagine the billions of images shot every day now on people's mobile phones? So for me, I saw the beauty of photography in tonight because we took those zeros and ones, we printed them onto a 2-dimensional print, and we put them on the wall. And I can just use the word wow. It just moves you when you see something printed. And to anyone listening now, I'd encourage you to literally take your most favorite pictures, go down to your local printing shop and get something printed. But the beauty and the power of photography is in that. And as you mentioned in your question, for me, these pictures, these photographs on the wall, and of course the amazing book that's been published by Jacana Publishing, are there forever. Those pictures go on the wall. So let's take that a little bit further. That is proof they've documented in some of the images the effect of the bad environmental choices we're making as humans on their environment. So there is a proof to that, isn't there? Like when you print something and it's on a wall, there's something more tangible about it. So I still believe in the power of photography used correctly in the right space. So to see the look in their eyes as they walked into the gallery is literally one of my motivating factors of doing this project, which was about a year long. So quite a long project, but the wow look on their face was it for me.
Yeah. Last question for you. What do you want people to take away from this project? If they come to the gallery or if they look through the book, what's the one thing you want them to take away from this?
Very simple, but very powerful. As human beings, I think we divide ourselves on many levels: nationality, race, religion, whatever it may be. And I think that the human race really needs to remember that we all live on the planet together, and that the environment is incredibly important to all of us because this is where we live. We share the same planet, can't get away from that.
Very true.
And so the one thing I'd like really, or two things I suppose, is that, please remember the environment. And then just remember the power of photography, and those two things combined is very simple but powerful.
Great. Kim, thank you so much.
Thank you so much to both of you here, and have a great evening.
You too.